Hi, everyone. I'm grateful that you're here today. I am recording this so other families who are not able to join us will be able to view it later. Hi, I'm grateful that you're here. So I'm recording, and as people enter, they'll be asked if they're okay with recording. I am recording this so families who are not able to join us today can watch it later, and I will post it to our dojo website or our dojo for SEEP. And I will also share it via our website. So I just want to make sure that everyone knows that I am recording today. So today we're talking about supporting literacy development for preschoolers. And a lot of these things are things that you can, as a family, they're things that you can do as children enter into kindergarten. So but I want to make sure that I focus on, or that I'm clear with families that these are activities that will support children as they become proficient readers a little bit later on. So this is not the intention to make 3- and 4-year-olds readers. Do we have some young children who begin to read? Of course we do, but that is not the expectation at this age in preschool. So I'm grateful that you're here, and please go ahead and in the chat, introduce yourself. Let me know who you are and your name and your affiliation with SEEP. So are you a family member? Are you a community partner? Are you a staff member? And if there's anything that you hope to learn today, please go ahead and put that in the chat. I'm gonna take a sip. Thank you. So why listen to me? I'm Dawn Alexander. I'm the preschool coordinator here at SEEP, and it's important for you to know why I do what I do and how the experiences and the work that I've done leads me to where I am now. So I attended the University of Delaware and Boston University, where I received degrees in early childhood education and special education. I taught preschoolers and through first grade with children with and without disabilities for over 20 years. I have extensive experience working with families and staff to support literacy instruction and to help families embed these kinds of activities at home. I received the 2016 Governor's Award for Excellence in Early Childhood, 2014 Superstars in Education Award for the literacy initiatives that I put in place when I was at Warner Elementary, and I was Colonial's 2010 Teacher of the Year. I continue to be an advocate for research-based literacy instruction and to ensure that we focus on children's interests and that we focus on engagement. And I want to tell you about my why, my personal whys. Working with children with and without disabilities, I have seen children who come to school and already know letters and letter sounds, who, when they're exposed to developmentally appropriate literacy activities, may become readers early in their lives. I've seen children who come to preschool who have disabilities and who have very little language or no language, who also become readers, and everything in between. So it's important to know that all children deserve the right to have high quality research-based literacy experiences that will prepare them to be able to read to the best of their individual ability in elementary school. So regardless of a child's disability or not, all children deserve to have access to these high quality literacy experiences. And then my daughter's story, my daughter struggled with reading. And the picture that I have here is my daughter when she was going to, she had support from a reading interventionist, and that tutoring was one-on-one. And she was struggling as a reader and was frustrated with reading and wasn't able to read proficiently and felt like that was very hard on her. And it was very hard on us because we lived that with her. And this picture shows the joy that she felt when she began to read and she began to write and she began to spell. And we want all children to have this feeling of, I can do this, I can be successful, I can be a reader, I can be a writer. And these activities today are precisely the kinds of activities that we can do with young children. So when they are in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, they can be as proficient readers as they possibly can be, given their own individual abilities and strengths. So what does research tell us about proficient readers? Research tells us that children who are proficient readers are able to decode words. They are able to automatically recognize and read many words. They have strong phonemic and phonological awareness. They read fluently. They understand the meaning of words. They understand vocabulary. They comprehend what they have read, and they can spell words. So what I'm going to ask you to do at the end, everyone, is I'm going to send you a survey where you'll put in your email address. And I'm going to send all of this to you because all of this is linked. I'm sharing a lot of information within an hour. I want you to be able to go back and to click on these links and to read more about all this information that I'm sharing with you. So know that I'm sharing a lot in a short amount of time, but all of this is linked so you can go back and you can learn more about it. And as we go through this presentation, I'm going to break down each of these so you understand what they mean. So for us as the adults, what does all of this mean, and how can families, of course, and also preschool teachers, engage in activities that prepare children to become proficient readers in elementary school? How do we build that strong foundation when children are 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, but not yet in kindergarten, and even going into kindergarten, so they then become successful readers later? So in early childhood, there are things, these are the areas where we can focus to really ensure that children are as strong and ready as they can be to read. So phonics are how letter names represent sounds. And when we are helping children with phonics, we help them understand that the letter names and the sounds associated with the letters. And we teach children that letters represent the sounds of spoken language. Now, we as adults aren't going to say, all right, it's time for your phonics lesson. Instead, what we're going to do we're going to engage in fun activities that support phonics. So in the next few slides, I will explain activities that you can do at home and also that can be done in classrooms to support phonics, even though we're not necessarily saying to children, it's the phonics lesson, it's the phonemic awareness lesson. And phonemic and phonological awareness, that helps children hear the sounds in spoken words and helps them to be able to manipulate those sounds. So if they can say cat, bat, hat, are they able to also rhyme and say sat and mat and zat and rat? So if they're beginning to rhyme, can they manipulate the words to put in different sounds to make new words? When we talk about vocabulary development, with young children, we know that their vocabulary knowledge is just growing and growing and growing if we expose them to lots of new words and lots of new vocabulary. We can do that through reading lots of books. We can do that by going to the park, and we can do that by giving children lots of experiences when we are in the grocery store, when we are going, when we're folding the laundry. As we are with our children, we can teach them the words in everyday life and expose them to lots of unique words. So it's through reading books, but it's also through life experiences. And then comprehension is helping children understand meaning. So helping children understand meaning when reading and conversing. And if there's a word that we think might be a new word to them, we stop and we explain what it means. So if I'm reading a book to a child and I come to a word that I think that a typical 3 or 4-year-old may not know what that word means, I'm going to quickly define it for them and then keep reading. So by doing that, I know I'm increasing the comprehension. And then when it comes to interest and engagement, reading is joyful. We want children to be interested in what we read to them and what they choose to read as they get older. Think about in our adult lives, if I'm going to read a novel, it's a book that I want to read. It's a book that interests me. I'm less likely to read something if someone tells me that I'm required to read it. And the same is true for young children and as they grow. So we need to help children understand there are lots of different interests. So you can find books about just about anything. So when we know what children are interested in, we can borrow those books from the library. We can borrow those books from school. We can purchase those books, but I always go back to the library because our public libraries are outstanding and provide children with lots of opportunities to borrow books for free. So helping children understand what they enjoy, what interests them, and giving them access to that material. And then engaging. Sustained engagement is critical to be able to listen to stories, participate in conversations, and to be able to play in an engaged way. So I want to break this down even further. So when we talk about phonics and decoding, we want to make sure that these are experiences that we do with young children every single day. So at the top, I have 4 home. Pick one of the 3 below to do every day. So what I have are, I put videos on here, and I'm not encouraging you to watch this video with your child. What I am encouraging you to do as the adult is you watch the video and see the instruction in the video. And then when you are with your child, you're doing the activity without the video. So the alphabet chart video is a chart with all the alphabet letters. And as you're touching each letter, you're saying the letter and the sound. So I have that linked here, and it's a video that you can watch later on your own. But it's something you can print this out, these charts out from the internet. You can buy them at the dollar store for $1. You can even make them. I've made charts using cardboard, the back of cereal boxes. I'll cut out cereal boxes and use the cardboard, the other side of where the print is. And I've also used my Amazon boxes to, cut them out and make a big alphabet chart with all the alphabet letters. And as you point to each letter, you say the letter and the sound. Another thing that you can do is when you have a deck of alphabet cards, you can make these yourself like I did. These are from the dollar store. I bought a pack of, I think, 300 index cards for $1. And I wrote the letters. Of course, you can buy the packs of them as well, but I always like to get the most bang for my buck. So these are index cards that I used myself, that I created myself. And what I do is I say the letter is and the sound is. So I'm going to say with the child, the letter is A, and the sounds, and the sound is a, or a. So we do Tucker signing. That's not something that we would expect families to do. But the important thing for you to do at home is that you're showing the child the letter and you're telling the child the sounds the letter makes, a and a. The letter is A, the sounds are a and a. And I did mix some of these up because you can start by doing these in alphabetical order, but you can also mix them up because you don't want children to memorize the letter and sound just because you've done it in alphabetical order. You want them to be able to know the letter and sound, even if they're not in alphabetical order. So you can go through these quickly. The letter is B, the sound is B. The letter is C, the sound is K, and the other sound is S. The letter is D, the sound is D. And so each of these, I've linked a video so you can watch the video so you as the grown-up can learn can practice this. But again, with children, I'm not saying watch the video with children. Instead, you're doing this face-to-face with your child and you're not showing the video, you're using the cards. And a couple other videos that you can watch to get ideas are the Who Let the Letters Out song with Dr. Jean. So you can play the song. It's to the tune of Who Let the Dogs Out, but it's Who Let the Letters Out. So you can sing Who Let the Letters Out, and you're pointing to the alphabet letters on an alphabet chart, and you are singing the song with the letter and the sound as you sing the song. Other things that you can do to extend the learning. So you could put the alphabet letters into a shoebox and you could shake up the shoebox pull out a letter. The letter is S, the sound is S, and then find something in your house that starts with the S sound. Or if you're outside on the playground, you're out in your backyard, you're at the park, you find something that makes the S sound, and you do a few of them. These activities are intended to be joyful. They're intended to be fun for children. So our young children in preschool, that we know that their attention spans are much shorter. And as we get older, our attention spans get longer. So if you do a few, if you pull a few cards and then it's clear that your child is finished, then that's great. That's okay. You do a few of them. And if you do a few each day, then your children will become more familiar with the names of the letters and the sounds associated with those letters. A way that you can extend this, so as children become more and more familiar with letters and letter sounds, again, the dollar store, I love the dollar store, so I bought the pack of index cards from the dollar store and I just cut them up and made letters. And so what you can do as children become more familiar with the letters and letter sounds is beginning to sound out words with them. And CVC means consonant, vowel, consonant. And I've linked a lot of these to the presentation I'm going to send to you, so you can look at these videos later to show you some of the terms that I'm discussing. If you're not sure what they are, if you want a refresher, you can go back to the links and you can find that information. So with bat, bat. And you can talk to children about how letters are representing sounds. And what I've done is I will also talk about how I can change the letter at the beginning, the initial letter, initial sound, and I can make a new word. So I had bat, and I can take away bat and have cat. I might even talk about how bat and cat rhyme. And it depends on your child's level. So if your child has learned the letters, they've learned the letter sounds, you begin to, or they've learned some of the letters and letter sounds, you can begin to do these kinds of activities. You make it fun, you do a couple of them, you do a few of them, and then if they've had enough, then you stop the activity and you move on to something else. Because we want them to, we truly want them to enjoy this experience. So those of you who just joined us, we're grateful that you're with us. Please go ahead and in the chat, please introduce yourself and tell us your affiliation with SEEP. Are you a staff member? Are you a family member? Are you a community partner? We did invite a couple of our community partners to join us because we have other community partners who are implementing these same kinds of literacy opportunities for families. So we all learn from each other. So we do have some colleagues who may be with us. So in the chat, let us know who you are and how you came to be here and maybe something that you hope to learn today. And at the end of the presentation, I'm going to share a very, very short survey with all of you, and that will ask you for your email address. So I will send this presentation to you via email by the end of the day today. So you'll be able to go back and you will be able to click on all of the links. Also, I am videoing, so I'll be able to post this video so other people will be able to view it. Okay, back to the presentation. Okay, so when developing phonemic and phonological awareness, as I said earlier, we're not saying to young children, we're going to work on developing your phonemic and phonological awareness. Because you are parents, you are adults, I want you to understand what this is and why you're doing it, but I'm not expecting you to say to children, this is your phonemic awareness activity or your phonological awareness activity. Instead, you're playing games, you're being silly as you're interacting with your children. So I'm using the book In the Tall, Tall Grass as the example. So if this is a book that your child likes to read, In the Tall, Tall Grass, this is a book that has some rhyming. And it's also a book where I might point out the sentences and count the sentences, because we are teaching children that letters make up words, words make up sentences, And then sentences, we put sentences together to make paragraphs, and they make pages and books. And so we're teaching them these concepts of print, and we're also teaching them that we can change words and sentences to make new sentences. So the ability to take apart and put back together. So a fun thing that you can do as you're reading a book, you don't do this throughout the reading of the book because that would be cumbersome for children and they wouldn't enjoy it. So as you're reading In the Tall, Tall Grass by Denise Fleming, you might point out a few rhymes as you're reading. In the tall, tall grass. Crunch, munch, caterpillar's lunch. Dart, dip, hummingbird sip. Dip and sip, they rhyme. They have the same middle and ending sound. Strum, drum, bees hum. Crack, snap, wings flap. Did you hear that? App, snap, flap. They rhyme. They have the same middle and ending sound. Pull, tug, ants lug. So as you're reading a book, you may point out that some of the words rhyme. Rhyming words sound the same in the middle and at the end. But I wouldn't do it for every single page, because if you do that, then children are not enjoying the flow of the book, and they may not want to listen all the time. So we want the reading to be joyful. So we point out a few of them, but we're not going to stop on every page and do it. So when we talk about counting words and sentences, when I read a book, let's say, Let It Fall, I may point out some of the sentences. Early mornings, crisp and cool, meet new friends back at school. Mounds of color raked up high, jump right in and watch the sky. Mounds of color rake up high, jump right in and watch the sky. High and sky, they rhyme. Ooh, jump right in and watch the sky. There are 7 words in that sentence. Jump right in. So you can count a few of the words in the sentences where we might say, these are words and words make up a sentence. So these are ways that we can build the phonemic and phonological awareness. I'm not stopping on every page and doing that. Other ways that we can support phonological and phonemic awareness, songs that we can sing might be Five Green and Speckled Frogs. And this is a book that from my time in the preschool classroom. So I would make these books with children so they could sing them and sing the songs and bring them home to families. But you certainly don't need to have the written book. The songs, the Down by the Bay and Five Green and Speckled Frogs, these songs are on YouTube. So with Five Green and Speckled Frogs, sat on a speckled log, eating some most delicious bugs. One jumped into the pool where it was nice and cool. Then there were 4 green speckled frogs, glub, glub. Log and frog, they rhyme. 4 green and speckled frogs sat on a speckled log, eating some most delicious bugs. Yum, yum. One jumped into the pool where it was nice and cool. I see some singing and dancing. Then there were 3 green speckled frogs, glub, glub. I might mention that cool and pool rhymed, and then I keep on singing. So think about the songs that we sing with children all the time. You sing the song, you know children's songs, so you point out the words that rhyme, or maybe you even leave off a word at the end and you encourage them to fill in a word. The song Down by the Bay goes, down by the bay, where the watermelons grow, back to my home, I dare not go, for if I do, my mother would say, did you ever see a fly wearing a tie down by the bay? And you might point out that fly and tie rhyme. Or you show them, you say fly, what rhymes with fly? Maybe they think about something that a fly could wear that rhymes, or something that an animal could wear that we could wear that rhymes with fly. So make it fun. We want this to be joyful for you and joyful for your child as you do these activities. And so I would encourage you to do, I have page 7 and 8. So this is page 7 and page 8 is the next page. So pick one of these to do today or more if your child is excited about them or they want to keep going. But it's important to do it frequently so children continue that learning. So if you're talking about rhyming, if I only talk about rhyming once a week or once every other week, they are not having enough practice to understand the concept. So doing it frequently helps them to gain that understanding. Something else is syllable clapping. There's a song that a colleague of mine made up, and it goes like this. Names are short, names are long. Say your name and clap along. And I see Kylie on the Zoom, so I'm going to clap. Kylie. Now, I would sing this with Kylie and maybe my other child or any other adults who are there. So I would say, Kylie, everybody, Kylie, do it again, Kylie, one more time, Kylie. Kylie has 2 claps. That's 2 syllables, Kylie. Names are short, names are long. Say your name and clap along. I see Christina, Christina. Do it again, Christina. One more time, Christina. Christina has 3 claps or 3 syllables, Christina. I also sing that song that I modified it to make it words are short, words are long, because if it's just you and your child, you run out of names pretty quickly. So if I'm doing it at home, as I did this with my own daughter, is words are short, words are long. Say this word and clap along. This is a paperweight. Paperweight. So you get the idea. It's a made-up song, but we want to be able to support for children the breaking down of words into syllables. And that's important because if children can break words into syllables, that's going to help them as they are reading and spelling. And as they're reading and writing, pardon me, it helps them to read words, to decode words. It helps them to be able to spell words. It helps them to be able to manipulate words. So if I can spell per, so if I see paper, I could spell der and fur. So if I can break words apart, I can think about, if I can spell per, I can think of a word that rhymes with per. I can spell, if I know the s sound and I can make sir. So playing with syllables helps children to be able to have this break apart, put it back together, and it helps them when they are decoding. It helps them when they are spelling. Another thing that you can do, and I put a link in here, is with compound words. We know that children who are able to break apart compound words and put them back together are better able to read later on in life. So with this song, with this example is compound words, compound words. Take 2 words, put them together. Butter, fly, butterfly. Butter, fly, butterfly. So you teach them how 2 words can be put together, butterfly, and then you can take them up. Once they become more proficient with that, you can take them apart. Butter, fly. If I take fly away, if I take butter away, what's left? So being able to put compound words together and take them apart is a predictor for children being successful in reading. So breaking apart the syllables in words, breaking apart compound words. You do this for a few minutes. You don't need to explain to children about syllable clapping, or you don't need to, or pardon me, that it's phonemic awareness or phonological awareness, but the link is there so you as the adult can understand why these activities are so important. And I've linked all the songs so you can watch them later. Very, very important when it comes to supporting interest and supporting engagement is reading to your child every day, 15 minutes per day. And there's a link here related to research, and I'm not going to read all of it to you now, but there's a Read Every Day website, and this is just a one-pager graphic that I printed off, but there's a lot of information from this website that really helps families and also educators understand why the 15 minutes a day is critical, and it builds upon itself. And the 15 minutes over a week, a month, a year, a lifetime. Having reading time is a suggestion that you could have where you are reading. So we know that we are our children's first teachers and that they watch what we do. We are their models and they are watching us. So if I'm the adult and my child is young, I'm going to have reading time where I'm reading a newspaper, I'm reading a magazine, I'm reading a book. You build up to 15 minutes a day. It might be 5 minutes a day. This was a homework assignment that my daughter's teachers gave her very early on. And because the teacher said, every night you're going to read and one of your grownups reads, and you sit in the same room and you turn off the television, you turn off the computer, and you're just reading. And when she was little, she would look at some of her, her board books, and maybe these are books that she was reading. Now, she wasn't really reading the works, but she would look at the picture and say, the monkey's banging on the drum. The monkey has friends. And so she might be, reading to herself, but she's looking at the pictures and reading. But it teaches children the importance of reading, the joy of reading, and they see you reading. So you're modeling the importance of reading. Also reading for functional purposes. So reading your grocery list, you're pointing to the words on your list. You're saying milk, bread. You point out milk. I hear the sound at the beginning of the word milk. I hear the sound k at the end of the word milk. Do you do that for every word? No, you do it for a few of them because they're understanding that you reading these words is purposeful. And when we write words, we write down the words for a purpose to remember what we need from the grocery store. Read the words in the aisle. You can say things like, we're going in the dairy aisle. That says dairy. And in the dairy aisle, we can find sour cream and cheese and yogurt. What do you think might be on our grocery list that we're looking for today? Oh, we talked about milk already. Yes, we'll find milk in the dairy aisle. So there are a lot of ways that we can infuse reading for functional purposes all throughout our day. And at the very end of this presentation, I've linked some information about the importance of turning off, putting your phone on mute, putting it in another room, closing the laptop and turning off the TV and music, and really how having technology in the background can impact our brain development, the brain development of children, and how it is what we had to do when we were on COVID lockdown. We had to use a lot of technology, but what some research coming out of that is showing that it's impacting children's ability to engage and to sustain, their attention to task. So we want to combat that and make sure for our young children, they are able to engage in learning and the sustained attention. So writing and drawing, critical for children to have lots of opportunities to have crayons every day and to have pencils and to be able to use markers. It starts out as scribbling. We know with young children, it's scribble, 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 scribble. And a young child might go scribble, 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 scribble. Look, mommy, I made you. And you say, oh, you made a picture of me. That's so kind. Where should I hang it? Now, it's hard. It might be hard to say, well, what is that? Instead, it's supporting them and encouraging them to scribble. And then their drawing becomes more refined. And then this support, this will help them later become proficient writers and drawers of what they're trying to draw. And there are, what I have linked here are, there are some charts that show how that beginning scribbling becomes more refined, and then it becomes what looks like writing, where they might draw 10 straight lines. They might say, I'm making a grocery list, mommy. And they might say bread and draw a line, milk and draw a line, cheese and draw a line. But they're learning that you write for meaning. And so they're writing for meaning. That becomes more refined. Encourage them to understand that writing has meaning. And you will see this progression of how it starts to scribble. And then, if you have older children, or you see that by first grade, second grade, third grade, that writing becomes refined. Something you can do when they draw is you can label what they drew. So if they go scribble, scribble, scribble and say, this is you, mommy, you can say, may I write mommy on there on your picture? And then you write M-O-M-M-Y, say the letters M is the first letter in mommy. I'm going to write an M. Ah. So you can even say that as you write the letters, say the sounds. Same thing for when you're writing that grocery list. I put an example of a grocery list down here. That's typically what my grocery list looks like, is that I've written it on a piece of scrap paper, and I know that a lot of us are using our grocery lists maybe on our cell phones, but I want to encourage you, if that's how you grocery shop, that's okay. Find other ways that you can write in front of your child. So they're seeing you writing the words and they're seeing you reading the words, and you're demonstrating writing has purpose. developing vocabulary comprehension, more of the phonological and phonemic awareness, things you can do in the car, at the park, in the grocery store. So talking, making sure that we're talking to children face to face, that we're giving them our undivided attention. Even if children are nonverbal, even if children, as I told all of you earlier, I worked with children who had no language or very little verbal language, expressive language, but children are still receiving and understanding language and understanding. We want to encourage children to understand, even if they're not able to verbally respond. So one of my colleagues would call it being the sports announcer. And it's truly what you as you're going throughout your day, you are saying, oh, I have to get ready to go to work. When I get dressed, I always put on my left shoe and then my right shoe. And then I tie both of my shoelaces after I put on both of my shoes. And you're talking through as you're putting on your shoes, you're tying your shoelaces. You might say, oh, my sock got stuck in my shoe. I need to pull my sock out. That kind of describing is providing children with so much vocabulary. So I can't say enough how much that will help your children, will help our children, all of our children in now and later on, because they're learning that vocabulary by hearing it, by seeing. You say shoelace, you're tying your shoelace. They're learning that both means two. You know, that all the things they're getting left and right, left, right. They're learning left and right. So be the sports announcer throughout your day. When you're cooking dinner, when you're making something, you know, when you're saying, I need to turn on the stove, I have to turn the knob. I want to make sure the flame is medium height, not too high, not too low, but in the middle. Those kinds of things you're saying when you're with your children. And then things that you can do when you're out in the community. You see a stop sign, you see a yield sign. You notice the sign, you talk about the sign, you say the letters in the sign. You could say a stop sign is an octagon shape. You can talk about how stop makes the word stop. Notice what is around you and talk to your child about what is around you. It can certainly be through books, but it can also be through those day-to-day activities in which we all engage with our children. So I've been talking quite a bit, and this is a picture, and I did it within 45 minutes, and that was my plan, because I want to spend our last 15 minutes with answering any questions that you have and making sure that you get to share anything that you'd like to share. I shared a picture of, this was my second to last class that I had before I left the classroom and came to my current position. So here are my class of preschoolers. And what I did is, all the children here, I encourage family members to come in and read, and either a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, or an uncle, or even an older sibling. Our preschool, when I was in this preschool, our preschool was in the elementary building. So several of the children here had an older sibling in 4th or 5th grade, so they could come down and read. But every child who every child in my class had someone come in and read at least one time during the school year. And what we would do is we would take a picture of the whole class, and I would ask a colleague to come over and take a picture, and then I would send that picture home with the family to say, thank you for coming. And then we would hang that picture up in our classroom so children could go back and say, do you remember when my dad came to school and read a book, or when my aunt came to school and read a book? And this book was Where the Wild Things Are. So Dad asked us to all make our monster faces. So that's what we did. So everyone, for those of you who joined us a little bit later, I am recording this. So it's okay if you are not able to, it's okay if you were not able to participate in the entire presentation, no worries. What I'm going to do is, because I recorded this, I'm going to share this with all of you, and I'm going to pop into the chat right now. I'm going to stop my share for just a moment. There are resources that I put at the end. Sorry, everyone, I'm trying. There we go. Okay. There are resources at the end of the presentation that you can click on later so you can learn more. And I'm not going to read them to you, but I'm going to send you the presentation so you can click on the links and the resources. There are some like adult resources. So if it interests you and you want to understand the research of why these activities are important for preschoolers to help them become readers later in life, please feel free to read that. If it doesn't interest you, that's fine too. And there are also some links for more activities that you can do at home, because there's no way I could do it all in the short amount of time. So I'm going to pop into the chat the survey and that's how I'll have your email address, or the best email address, so you can let me know what worked well for you and what I could do differently next time, and other information that would be helpful to share moving forward. So the survey is in the chat. So it's just 5 quick questions or 4 quick questions. And that does ask you for your email address so I can send this presentation to you as well as the video. So what questions can I ask? Or is anyone feel comfortable providing feedback or sharing anything that you learned today that you didn't know before you came today?
Dawn, I think
would you like to go first?
Dawn, I think that this is great. It's really helpful, like for families, and we're certainly going to share this out. Really good content.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry, everyone, that I'm having my second screen is not cooperating. So I'm not seeing, I'll look over this way. Sorry about that. There we go. So Diane, I'm grateful for that feedback. Thank you so much. And it's okay, everyone, if you're not comfortable popping off of mute or video, that's all right. But I am extremely grateful for your time today. Your time is valuable, and know that I really appreciate you gave up your lunchtime today to be here. And I look forward to reading your feedback and to implementing other activities like this where we can share additional information.
Hi, Dawn. Do they do this in the school in Colonial?
So the teachers, the classroom teachers, are you asking if teachers in other grades do what I did, or are the classroom teachers?
Is the classroom teachers in Queen School, which is your school, are they doing mimicking the same thing?
Yeah, so what they're doing in preschool, they're doing poems, they're reading books that rhyme, they're talking about rhyme, they're singing songs, books.
I see it sometimes, like the name game, the Queen game. I remember Queen coming home doing that. I also remember that in my daughter in Aphrodite's school. Aphrodite's was one of the kids that was reading in preschool.
Wow.
And now, of course, we're going to say Queen is a little different, because I'm always going to say it. I'm biased because I love the school that Aphrodite was in. It was just very expensive. And so you look for programs to mimic that. And even when I told Queen teacher that, she said, we do things like that. But I think when Queen was, first starting, she wasn't ready. Of course, they're so small, like you said.
Sure.
But now I'm looking for more of that work that you just said. But I'm happy that you gave it to me, because I can do it on my own and be comfortable with it, even though it's just, I always say it's a little headache, because sometimes kids are their own boss.
That is the truth. It
was really good information. I just wish sometimes that, even though they're in preschool and we say they love to learn to play, I just wish sometimes things could be a little modified for the child if they're already advanced.
And that's something we strive to do that. Sometimes it is challenging, but we do strive to do that. And we strive to embed these kinds of activities in the play. So as children are, let's say, building in blocks, and it looks like my screen popped back on. I'm going to move you all back over, which may seem strange to you, but it makes it easier for me to see. There we go. Okay. This other screen just makes it easier for me. So we embed a lot of it in the play. So a child might make if they're in the block area and they make a tower or they make a house or they make a zoo or whatever it is they may make, we can encourage them to label it on scraps of paper, the buildings that they've made, and we can sound out the words with them. So that's just one example of ways that we encourage staff to take what we just did and embed it in play during the day. Or in the housekeeping area, having scrap paper so children can, make the grocery list while they're in the housekeeping area. So as they're rocking the baby, they're making their grocery list. So those are the kinds of things that we have in preschool. It's harder to show you that because I'm not down the hall in the classrooms.
I seen it. I seen
Okay.
it, Dawn, because Queen, she's, she likes to write and stuff, even though she really can't, we're gonna say she can't yet write. But it was just so cool that who was it? I forget her teacher name. Miss Bree. Queen did a story and she liked to write. And Miss Bree said, Queen, can you come sit down and tell me the story? And Miss Bree actually wrote out the whole story that Queen was really, she told her. And I thought it was so cool. And she made a picture. But Miss Bree said, we just had to get this for you, Thomasine, because Queen really does this a lot. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. And of course I got it. I want to frame it because it's really, it was so nice just to see that. So it does work.
Yes. And as I have behind me, I like to make sure that I have these pictures behind me because this is the progression of my daughter's writing. And there are some things back here that are squeak, 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 just a couple lines that it was, Mom, I wrote, I love you, Mom. Well, I love you too. And it looks like, just some scribbles, but then it's the progression of, from 3 and 4 and 5, but from letting her use the pencil every day and use the crayons and making sure she had those opportunities to now being in college. But it's this progression that goes from scribble to maybe a letter, maybe their name, maybe they write mom, they write the names of members of their family, to being able to write sentences and stories. So Thomasina, thank you so much for sharing that story. That's what we want to do in preschool, encourage that as much as we can. And when they feel successful, when we empower them, we give them that sense of agency of giving them choice and encouraging them to do it and telling them you can do it. That goes a long way.
It does. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I am grateful for all of you. If there's, I'm happy to stay on and answer any questions. And once I send this to you, you'll have my email address, so you can email me. And if you don't already have my email address, I will, once I email you, once you've completed the survey, then I'll be able to reach out to you. And as you think of things, please let me know. And something that I hope we'll be able to do for those of you in SEEP, because of COVID, we've had so many restrictions, but the restrictions are being lifted, in May. So if any of you are going to be with us next year, we hope to be able to do some make and takes. We've talked about being able to bring families in, and the things I showed you, being able to have the make and takes with families, it's just hard to do that via Zoom. So I thank you all for your time.
Thanks, Dawn.
Thank you very much. I wish you well.
Bye-bye.